In this video, I'm going to be showing you a new synthesizer for me called Anna 2. Slate Digital contacted me and sent me over their all access pass. So I've got that for a year, and I'm going to be showing off some of their products throughout the year. I'm not getting paid to make the videos, but they do send me the all access pass for free. I'm not a salesperson, but what I want to do is show you guys what the software is like so that you can decide if this is something you want to pick up and spend money on for yourself. So hopefully this video gives you a little insight into what this software is all about and what comes with the all access pass and what comes in this new bundle that they just put out last week. I'll be showing the software on the Ableton Push and on Maschine, but those are both my own devices and have nothing to do with the paid promotion of this video. And I'm totally new to the software, and I don't always review everything that people send me if I think it's not something that my viewers would be excited about. But I do feel like this one has some really neat features. So you can buy Anna 2 separately from Sonic Academy, but in this case, the Ultra Bundle comes specifically with the All Access Pass. So let's just do a really brief overview of this synthesizer. I won't get too much into the details, but kind of show you my surface level perspective on this synthesizer, playing with it for the first couple days. Let me just show you a little future bassy kind of pop idea that I came up with really quickly with this new software. I'll show you how I use the Chord features in the synthesizer to come up with that progression. Pretty cool. So if we look up at the top, we've got oscillators 1 to 3 and oscillators 4 to 6. And that's one thing that's really great about the synthesizer is they've got 6 different oscillators. The first 3 are wavetable, and then we have 3 different sampler options. So you can add a little bit of noise in the background of your patch. You can add some kind of crispy attack from a sample at the beginning of a sound. So if I go to oscillator 4, which has nothing on it right now, and I just click on the waveform right here, and then I'm just going to go look for a sample. So we'll go to Echo Pipe Pluck. Let's give that a try. So the way to listen to just that waveform is for me to go down to where it says Oscillator Mix here in the details section. And I can see oscillator 4 has its own little slider, solo and mute and pan. And if I can hear the patch with everything, solo it, and now I'm listening to just this sample. And then press mute to hear it without it. So you can hear how it adds a nice pluck at the beginning of the sound. So let's hear what this sound is like on its own now with this pluck added. Sounds great. So some very basic controls. You can control the tuning, what happens with the velocity, all sorts of other stuff in the oscillator section. We've got a filter section, and then you can see some really creatively named filters to show you what they are trying to imitate. Next, we've got our filter, amp, and modulation envelopes. Those are going to be something that we could explore in a future tutorial video, but all fairly standard stuff. The next thing that's not standard is this G envelope, and that stands for a graphic envelope. So if I click this little button right here, then we can get into what this G envelope does. And what we should do is probably look at a different patch for that. So I'm going to load up just a basic patch here. Let's go to a bit of a pad sound, go to groggy. And we're in the ultra sad trap. And you can see the ultra specific ones right here. Once you install them, they show up. These are the new ones that come with the update. We'll double click on groggy. Let's try the next patch. What I want to try with this one is just mess around with this graphic envelope a little bit and see if we can make some sense of it. So if you click over in this little area right here, you're going to find presets. Got some sidechain stuff here so you can imitate the sound of a sidechain without actually setting up a sidechain. What I'm going to do over here is choose what it is affecting. So I'm going to go over to volume all. And now what's going to happen is if I double click and enter these points in, I can start changing the volume. And I'm also going to set re-trigger so it starts at the beginning every time. You can hear it getting louder there. I'll double click right here and go even louder. You could use that to control any parameter. It could be on a filter, it could be on the oscillator pitch, so it's jumping up and down in pitch, but it's pretty easy to go through and draw your own little grid in and come up with some sort of interesting pulsing ideas. But let's get into some of the other more fun stuff. And so here, of course, we can see macros, and you're going to assign macros through this modulation matrix / macro matrix. So you just go over here and choose what your macro knobs are assigned to, and you can choose from basically any parameter on the synthesizer. And then same thing with the modulation matrix, what's going to happen when you use the modulation wheel and other things like that. So you can choose what is modulating what in that modulation matrix. Next, we've got the arpeggiator. Probably find a better patch for this example. So let's go to a pluck. And by the way, you can, if you come up with some really cool arpeggiated stuff or some graphic envelope stuff or whatever, all you have to do is hit the preset lock, and then as you change presets, you're not going to lose what you just did on, say, your arpeggiator or on this chord mode. And so you can see as I add more notes, it's going to cycle through those notes as well. And then I can clear this right here and start doing my own thing. So if I have nothing selected here, it doesn't matter how many notes I have held down, nothing's going to happen. So if I start clicking in some options, and I'm going to hold down 4 notes. And let's try some little extra ones. And then we're going to set retrigger on this one, so every time we hold it down. So you can get this pulsating thing between the lowest note and the other notes. So you can see this is my bottom note, it's like my root note, and I can choose when these other chords pop in. So maybe take the root note out there and then only have those. So watch what happens. Really interesting arpeggiator features here. I really like the layout of this. I like how you have those different note options if you're holding down a chord. And then as we'll see in a minute, if you have the chord mode turned on using that whole functionality, you can do all of this with one finger press. I'll show you that in a second. We can do all sorts of other stuff with the arpeggiator. We've got modulation we can set up. We can turn on the swing. So if you want your arpeggiator to swing, which is totally essential in my opinion. If you don't have swing, you can't use it on any kind of sort of hip hop or any kind of lo-fi, any of that kind of stuff. We won't dig too much more into that, but you can see you could control the velocity of each hit underneath as well. And then we've got lots of presets to choose from as well. And I do dig that, the fact that they've got all these really neat presets already set up for their devices, for each aspect of their devices. Really nice arpeggiator, just scratching the surface of it. Next thing we're going to look at here is this chord memory device. So if you press CMD there and turn it on, and to me this is probably my favorite feature of the synthesizer, and it's a thing that I was playing with most with these bunch of musical ideas, and I'll show you the rest of the ideas at the end of the video. You have the ability to play complex chords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chord and I'm going to hit learn. I'm going to play the chord, and right now with this single setting on, what that means is that chord I just played is going to be applied to any single note that I play. So now, so that's if it's set to single. If I have it set to multi and I press learn, now we've got a new chord applied to this middle C. So if I take it off learn and now I play that, that chord is going to play every time I play that middle C. The rest of the notes, you can just play like normal. Watch what happens if I go and do a whole bunch of them. So let's go down an octave. We'll go learn, and I'm going to do a bunch of different chords. Let's on to the next one. And then the next one I'm going to do maybe a more complex, juicy chord. Now I've got those chords programmed in there. I can take the learn button off, and now And the cool thing is I've got these complex chord progressions now put in here, and I can save those and use them in other songs. I can use them on other patches on similar devices. I can go and turn my arpeggiator on. Turn up the swing. Hear how complex I just made that out of taking this chord mode, programming in some complex chords, maybe that you can't play on your own, running those through the arpeggiator, getting this interesting back and forth between those different chords. And if I take this strum button here, and for some reason it seems like I have to turn it off. I'm not sure if that's the way it's supposed to be, but now watch what happens when I play a chord and then use the mod wheel. So you go ahead and you save your chord mode with these special chords that you've just programmed in yourself. Oh, and by the way, if you want to adjust the key of everything, right now I've got an A flat going to a G major 7. I was just playing around with this going, what if you load a preset that's in A minor and you don't want the whole thing to be in A minor, or you want it to be in F minor or whatever. Right now it's A flat major 7 as the first chord. If I take this arrow and drop it down, now it's going to take all the chords and shift them down 1 semitone. Let's take them all up 3 semitones. So it keeps everything intact. All of the chords that you have programmed into the bottom part there will all shift up or down by semitones. So you can very easily take one of their presets and change it to whatever key you want your song to be in. And they've got some beautiful presets in here. So if you go to DLC, Slate chord progressions, they've got all these chord progressions put in there. I'll show you a couple of them in a little bit, and they just sound fantastic. They sound really, really good. And for certain genres like jazz and hip hop, certain chord combinations played by good keyboardists have certain sounds. And if you're not a keyboardist, it's like learning how to do those different voicings is quite difficult. Even something like this future bass kind of idea, for lack of a better term, it's like there's different ways of voicing these interesting chords that have a very specific sound, and they've got it dialed in on this synthesizer. It sounds really, really great. So that's, again, just scratching the surface of this chord memory device, but really, really cool. I love this feature. Next, we've got an EQ on the whole thing. We've got the oscillator mix, which I was showing you before, a really quick way to choose the levels of your 6 different oscillators, modulation matrix, and then the settings just to change a few things. We've got the LFOs and then the other stuff on the bottom. And the browser is fantastic on this synthesizer too. And to me, it's like, if the browser is no good, I'm probably not going to use the synthesizer. For the most part, I want to get inspired by somebody else's preset who really knows a certain device. And then as I get to know the device, then sure, I'll start building my own presets. But when you're getting started, it's like, you need to show me what this thing can do. And then I can dig into it, reverse engineer it, and start making my own patches. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few patches from the Ultra bundle. Just be aware that these 6 skins and these categories of patches only come if you are a subscriber to this all access pass. So make sure you go check out what the subscription details are. I'll put a link in the description. All right, so Ultra Cinematic is going to be cinematic. All right, let's try the Ultra Detroit. The Ultra Euro Rack. Double click on that, have a look at the interface. And I didn't mention the fact that they do have, of course, 5 different slots for insert effects, all different types of effects, and then send effects as well. And then we've got the factory, which is just going to be, I use this one actually a fair bit. It's got a lot of different patches in it. It sounds great. So there you can see this graphic envelope doing some intense stuff there. And I'll try the Ultra SD1. And then the sad trap one. Cool piano sound. Anyways, lots of really great patches, but let me now just show you my ideas so you can get a sense of what I was able to cook up in a short amount of time on the Push and on Maschine. Okay, so for that one, I've got this Anna pad right here, and that's basically what started the whole thing off. I'll just show you that patch really quickly, and then we'll show the other ideas. Loaded up a preset called D minor woke. So if I go over to pop and future pop, it was under feature bass D minor woke. And so like just beautiful, beautiful chords in here. F add 9, very simple. And you can see all of the notes that are being played up above. Even just that voicing of a D minor chord. A full octave, and then the 5th, and then the 3rd and the 5th up top. And lots of sus chords. It's really complex chords that most people wouldn't know how to come up with on their own. And of course you can do this on the keyboard. You don't need a push controller. The nice thing about the push controller for this, or Maschine for that matter, is the fact that you can just remember which square is the chord that you want to play in your little musical idea. Let's load up another idea. Okay, so for this one, I've got this little piano thing happening. Let's have a look at that one. And this one was a preset called E minor trap, and I think that was under hip hop. Yeah, E minor trapped. There you go. So I'll switch over to Maschine now and show you a couple ideas that I cooked up on Maschine. And so for this one, all I did is played in my own chords. So I've also got a bass here that is also from Anna 2, and that one is the Gunna. Nice bass patch from the Ultra Sad Trap group of patches with the skin on it. So let's see if we can find a bass patch for this other idea. Let's go to the Sad Trap and we'll try some of their basses. Actually, that sounds good. Let's just go with that one. Pretty nice stuff. Really impressed with the synthesizer, impressed with the patches and the bundle of patches that it comes with. So very cool stuff. I hope that gets you inspired. Make sure you go check out loads of other videos, do some research, and decide if this synthesizer is right for you. I'm really digging it. Looking forward to playing around with it in the next little while. And don't forget, of course, that the All Access Pass from Slate Digital comes with a whole lot more than just this synthesizer and these specific patches. You've got tons of effects, guitar amp simulators. You've got another thing called the Kilohertz bundle, definitely worth checking into. And then the last thing is their training videos that come with this as well. So hit me up with the subscribe button and the bell if you're new here, and we'll see you in the next video.